many of you guys have worked a minimum wage job in your life? I have and still do. According to the United States Department of Labor, minimum wage was raised to $7.25 an hour on July 24th in 2009, as opposed to $5.15 an hour a couple of years ago. Minimum wage came about at the time of the Great Depression in 1939, where employers had to pay at least 30 cents an hour. The actual value of minimum wage is now less than it was in 1939. When the government raised minimum wage, they did not know that our economy would be declining this rapidly and we would be in a recession. And is minimum wage a good idea to begin with? There has been many debates over this topic recently. There seems to be a lot more cons than pros. For one thing, higher wages means the cutting of hours and more unemployment. It could also lead to the closing down of small businesses, which will only hurt the economy more. It is impossible to live off one income of minimum wage and always has been below the poverty line. So the government should let businesses decide what they are able to pay without going out of business and losing more and more jobs for our country as a whole. At minimum wage, you will be making around $14,000 yearly. That's if your employer can afford to keep you 40 hours a week. For a family of two, the poverty guideline is $14,750 a year or under. I recently watched a video called 30 Days, starring Morgan Spurlock and his fiancée Alex. In this video, they start their life over and start a minimum wage job with only 1 week's pay for minimum wage. Morgan and Alex found a new apartment that they believed they could afford, and they searched for jobs the very next day. Morgan found a job at a temp office where he did landscaping and construction work for $7 an hour, which was a little bit above minimum wage at the time the movie was made. Alex found a dishwashing job at a restaurant where she also made minimum wage. The apartment they found was around $300 monthly. Throughout the film, it showed the struggles that Morgan and Alex went through to be making a little bit over minimum wage with jobs that provided no benefits. Morgan ended up having to get another job, and after having to go to the hospital for a hurt wrist and his fiance's urinary tract infection, they calculated it would take 3 months to get caught up just from the hospital expensive. So is minimum wage what is causing poverty in our country? I believe that this video showed that minimum wage should be abolished because most companies feel like they can get away with only paying $7.25 an hour even if they deserve more. If minimum wage was abolished, then low-paying jobs will either be for people who are currently in school, like myself, or just open up more jobs for the unemployed. Raising minimum wage will help out less than half of the people who do receive minimum wage. Businesses having to pay will ultimately lead to the raise of prices everywhere, which will lead to more bad news for our economy. However, there are a few good things about minimum wage. For workers who have kids and can't afford to better their education or train for better jobs, they can at least be guaranteed a certain income. Another good thing is that there are less worker abuse, but I'm sure that there are other ways the government can monitor abuse like that. Overall, it looks like the cons are outweighing the pros. I believe pay will be raised by itself to what it should be over time. If a company isn't paying enough, then it will be known if they can't keep employees. I believe in America there are so many opportunities. Having low-paying jobs should be enough to motivate citizens to do better. This is the reason I am in school right now, because I don't want to be making minimum wage for the rest of my life. Overall, minimum wage doesn't really help our economy or our country, so I say, what's the point?